Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my prediction for the upcoming death battle between the Shredder and the Silver Samurai. In this video, I will cover the characters' backstories, their powers and capabilities, why these characters were paired against each other, and then finally my prediction for who I think is going to win. Before we get into things, I feel a need to address exactly which iterations of these characters are being used for this match. For Shredder, Death Battle has confirmed that they are using pretty much everything except for the 2003 cartoon. They are not using that one because it just deviates way too far from the main idea of the Shredder, to the point that there's no legitimate Shredder representation in that series. There's an alien Shredder, a robot Shredder, and even a demon Shredder, but since Shredder is supposed to be a human person, those iterations are just not very legitimate. Similarly, they have confirmed that they will be using everything for the Silver Samurai except for the 2013 Wolverine film. The Silver Samurai that appears in that has about as much to do with the real Silver Samurai as this thing has to do with Deadpool, so it won't be included. With all that said, let's begin. First up is the Shredder, otherwise known as Oroku Saki. Shredder's origin story has been told and retold many times over the years, and each version has their own spin on things, but they each had pretty much the same core points. In this world, there is a clan of ninjas called the Foot Clan. These are the greatest ninja in the world, and two of the greatest ninjas within the Foot Clan were Oroku Saki and Hamato Yoshi. These two young men had a fierce rivalry growing up, and both of them also tended to be rather aggressive individuals. But Yoshi managed to cool down a bit after he got a girlfriend/wife called Tang Shen. However, Oroku Saki did not have someone to mellow him out, so he just got more aggressive and intense as time went on, until he crossed the line from aggressive into ruthless. At some point, he eventually became the head of the Foot Clan, and his methods as leader were unnecessarily brutal and vicious. This didn't sit well with Yoshi, who decided to take his wife and leave the Foot Clan. Oroku Saki saw this as a betrayal of the clan, and thus hunted down Yoshi before murdering both him and his wife. Afterwards, Oroku Saki set about expanding the power and influence of the clan for over a decade, and he soon took on the new name of Shredder. Now, this is where the story gets a tad strange. You see, there's this rat, and in some versions of this story, the rat was a pet that belonged to Yoshi. And in other versions of this story, the rat is a reincarnation of Yoshi. Regardless, through one reason or another, this rat had inherited all of Yoshi's ninja skills as well as his worldview. This rat lived in the sewers beneath New York City, and one day the rat found and adopted 4 small turtles that had fallen into the sewers. Shortly after that, the rat and turtles were exposed to some mysterious ooze that somehow transformed all of them into animal-human hybrids. The rat now went by the name of Splinter, and the 4 turtles now went by the names of Michelangelo, Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael. Having now been gifted with sentience, Splinter now fully understood the history of what happened to Hamato Yoshi, and Splinter felt it was his duty to seek revenge against Shredder for what he did. So in pursuit of this, Splinter taught the 4 turtles the art of ninjutsu, in the hopes that one day they would get the chance to take down the Shredder. As it just so happened, Shredder had set up shop in New York City, as he was looking to expand the Foot Clan's influence in America, and it wasn't long before Shredder and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossed paths. The Turtles, of course, sought to disrupt and damage the Foot Clan in any way they could, and in response, the Shredder has made destroying the Turtles one of his main goals in life. That's pretty much the Shredder's origin story. Now let's look at what he can do. Shredder is of course a master of the art of ninjutsu. The specific arts involved are numerous, but they all generally involve strategy, stealth, weapon skills, and hand-to-hand combat. Shredder's favorite weapon is his iconic claws. In fact, it's from his use of these that he got his name. Originally handheld, Shredder has since incorporated these claws into his gauntlets, and thus freed up his hands to wield other weapons, such as swords, axes, and shurikens. In terms of defense, Shredder's armor is an ancient relic passed down for generations that, despite being made of steel, is also somehow stronger than steel. But he doesn't just use old-school gear. Shredder incorporates a variety of high-tech equipment into his arsenal, including laser guns, thermite grenades, and acid pellets. While this arsenal is certainly impressive, it's Shredder himself that is truly awe-inspiring. He's actually a monster of a man. While using a regular sword, Shredder was able to slice through an alien mech suit like it was butter. For context, common steel has a maximum tensile strength of 80,000 pounds per square inch. The strongest known punch ever thrown was by Ernie Shavers at 1600 psi. So for the Shredder to slice through this metal, he would literally have to have the strength of 50 men. 50. 5-0. That's insane. And that's using common steel. Since this is an advanced alien mech suit, Shredder would likely require even more strength to cut through it. In terms of speed, Shredder has about peak human speed and reflexes. For example, one time someone threw a sigh through a window at him in a sort of sneak attack. Despite having no foreknowledge of this attack, the sigh was only able to travel a few inches after smashing through the window before Shredder swiped it out of the air. That's plenty impressive, just not necessarily superhuman. What is superhuman is Shredder's durability. He once tanked 21 missiles to the face from the aforementioned alien mech suit, and he was totally fine. He is also ridiculously tenacious and ferocious in combat. One iteration of the Shredder in feudal Japan was so scary that a feudal lord sent an entire legion of warriors to take the Shredder down. In case you didn't know, a legion consists of 5,000 men. Shredder slaughtered every single one of them. Over the course of the fight, he was repeatedly sliced and impaled. He even got his leg chopped off, but none of that was enough to stop him. But the Shredder isn't just strong and skilled, he's also a tactical genius, capable of laying out grand strategies before carrying them out himself on the battlefield. In addition, when engaging with foes, the Shredder quickly analyzes their fighting styles, identifies any apparent weaknesses, and then adjusts his own fighting style to compensate. In terms of experience, the Shredder has utilized the aforementioned ooze to extend his own life, allowing him to survive 4 centuries. This grants him hundreds of years of combat experience. And to top it all off, Shredder's sheer willpower is just mind-boggling. In one story, he was exposed to the Joker's venom toxin, and not only did he survive, but he actually overcame the toxin's effect through sheer force of will. Even Batman and co. were like, what the hell, that's not possible. But if all this ridiculous just isn't enough, the Shredder has one last trick up his sleeve. By consuming massive quantities of ooze all at once, Shredder transforms into Super Shredder. Original name. This form grants a significant boost to all of Shredder's stats, making him bigger, stronger, faster, more durable, and also granting him a whole slew of new powers. He can now launch waves of fire, ice, and even electricity. He also gains the ability to teleport short distances. With all these incredible powers at his demand, it should come as no surprise that the Shredder has defeated quite the number of foes. He has bested countless aliens, mutants, ninjas, and samurai in his time. And when at his best, the Shredder has even defeated all 4 Ninja Turtles and Master Splinter at the same time. But for all his impressive feats, the Shredder has a number of shortcomings. While it's true that Shredder was at times capable of matching all of the Ninja Turtles at once, those occurrences were usually rather early on in the Turtles' stories. As they've grown and become more capable fighters, the number of turtles needed to best the Shredder has grown smaller and smaller. As such, Shredder has lost several one-on-one matches with both Leonardo and Splinter, and he's usually been decapitated in the process. In fact, Leonardo has personally beheaded both the regular Shredder and the Super Shredder. Furthermore, while Shredder does have a few ranged options, he's still largely a melee fighter, so opponents with longer range can exploit that. On top of that, the Shredder does have a superiority complex and some anger issues. He considers himself the greatest fighter to ever live, and the very idea of him losing is completely alien to him. That sort of overwhelming arrogance can be seriously detrimental. Also, he is not known for his patience, and attempting to harm him can send him into a blood rage, and while that anger makes him mighty, it also makes him far more predictable and leaves him vulnerable to counterattacks. In his fight with the 5,000 soldiers, he was filled with that rage, and it definitely gave him strength, but it was also responsible for all the wounds he received over the course of the battle. At the end of it, he would have most certainly bled to death if he hadn't been rescued by a magical fox spirit. In addition, transforming into Super Shredder does quite the number on his mental state. He pretty much goes berserk when he enters this mode, and while he doesn't reach Incredible Hulk levels of brain-dead rage, he most definitely is sacrificing mental prowess in exchange for physical prowess. All that said, the Shredder's combination of skill, power, intelligence, and ruthlessness continues to make him one of the most dangerous individuals on the planet. That's everything I know about the Shredder. Now for the Silver Samurai. In Japan, there's a powerful clan called the Yoshida clan. This criminal organization was led by a man called Shingen Yashida, and Shingen had a son called Kenyuishio Harada. However, Kenyuishio was a bastard, which is to say that he was an illegitimate child. His father did not recognize him as his own son, and thus Kenyuishio was not in line to become the leader of the clan once Shingen died. Since his prospects at home seemed rather limited, Kenyuishio decided to study the way of the samurai, otherwise known as Bushido. Bushido isn't just about becoming a skilled fighter, it's also about staying true to the ideals of righteousness, courage, loyalty, and honor, which became extremely important to Kenyuishio. After becoming a master in all of the arts involved in being a samurai, Kenyuishio set out into the world under a new name, the Silver Samurai, who I shall henceforth refer to as Sam. Sam traveled the world as a Ronin, which is a samurai for hire, basically a mercenary. Selling his services to the highest bidder, Sam worked for all sorts during his travels, although the majority of them were supervillains. However, at some point Sam heard some news from home. His father, Shingen, had been murdered at the hands of some Wolverine fellow, and the position of leader of the clan was set to fall to Sam's half-sister. And to make matters worse, said half-sister was getting ready to marry the Wolverine fellow. None of this sat well with Sam, who promptly returned home and did everything in his power to usurp his sister's position as clan leader. This eventually worked, although Sam's sister died in the process, which was never Sam's intent. After working for villains and now having indirectly caused his sister's death, Sam took part in some introspection and realized that for a man dedicated to the path of honor, his actions had been less than honorable. To rectify this, Sam set about cutting off all of Clan Yoshida's criminal connections in order to honor his sister. And Sam himself set about working to ensure that his life was spent fighting for something worthwhile and honorable. To this end, he became pretty much the most famous hero in Japan, and even founded and led the Japanese superhero team known as Big Hero 6. Sam would spend the rest of his life trying to become the great and honorable man he originally set out to be. That's pretty much Sam's story. Now let's look at what he can do. Sam is, of course, a master of all the various samurai arts, but that's not all. It is officially stated that Sam is a master of all Oriental martial arts, which is kinda crazy considering there's an utter crap ton of Oriental martial arts. This actually makes Sam one of the single greatest hand-to-hand fighters on the planet, second only to the likes of the Iron Fist. In addition, it has been speculated by many that Sam is the single greatest swordsman on the Earth, which is pretty crazy considering this is the Marvel Universe. But if martial arts and sword skills weren't enough, Sam has also trained in the ninja art of stealth, and his sneaking skills are actually absurdly good. Not only does he easily sneak up on regular people, but he also managed to sneak up on various heroes with superhuman senses, including Beast from the X-Men and even Spider-Man. That's right, Sam somehow managed to sneak up and get the jump on Spider-Man. In case you've forgotten, Spider-Man's spider sense gives him omniscient awareness of his surroundings, which makes sneaking up on him basically impossible. Yet, somehow, Sam managed to get into melee range before the spider sense noticed him, at which point it was too late, and Sam literally just bashed Spider-Man unconscious. Sam actually would have outright killed him if Black Widow hadn't intervened. So yeah, Sam's sneaking skills are pretty legit. With all these skills, Sam is of course highly capable with a variety of traditional samurai weapons, including shurikens, but his favorite, and his go-to, is definitely his trusty katanas. Sam has acquired a number of special katanas over the years, but his best one is definitely the Black Blade. This is an ancient weapon forged by a legendary craftsman who actually imbued this sword with part of his soul. And despite the sword being made of steel, it is also somehow far stronger than steel. Even Wolverine's adamantium claws are unable to put a scratch in it. But Sam doesn't just use old school gear, he also utilizes a variety of high-tech equipment. His armor is made of an advanced steel alloy that is highly resistant to impacts, electricity, and bullets. It also has this nifty feature that if Sam is ever caught without his armor, he can just summon it into existence somehow. His advanced technology also grants him the ability to throw massive energy shurikens, as well as the ability to channel and launch waves of fire, ice, and even electricity. In addition, Sam has had access to a variety of different teleportation devices over the years. He has a magic ring that, when twisted, can teleport him anywhere on Earth, and he also has used a technology-based teleportation device that is useful for short-range teleportation. While this arsenal is certainly impressive, it's Sam himself that is truly awe-inspiring. He is superhumanly strong, and is capable of lifting and throwing a sentinel over his head. Judging by the size of this sentinel, and after comparing it to the schematics for a sentinel of this design, I can conclude that this sentinel in particular likely weighs at least 2,000 pounds. The largest amount a human being has officially ever lifted without support is 586.4 pounds, so Sam is at least 3.4 times stronger than the strongest people on Earth. In terms of speed, Sam is fast enough to block bullets with his sword. Most impressively, he was once able to cut a bullet in half mid-air after it was fired from a Yakuza hand cannon. Judging by the ridiculous size of these guns and the fact that it is a semi-automatic pistol, these weapons are most comparable to Desert Eagles, the largest modern semi-automatic pistol. These fire bullets at a muzzle velocity of 470 meters per second or 1,051.36 miles per hour. That's nearly 1.5 times the speed of sound. In terms of durability, Sam has survived some pretty crazy stuff. He has tanked hits from the likes of Spider-Man, Cannonball, and Luke Cage. Black Widow once crashed a flying car into Sam at high speeds, and all it did was momentarily stun him. And he once survived a 2-story building collapsing on his head. But his most impressive durability feat comes from this one time when he was fighting the mutant known as Storm in a warehouse that was filled to the brim with explosives. The thing is, someone started jacking with Storm's powers, so she accidentally blasted Sam with a full-powered lightning bolt. He was fine. But what was really crazy was that the lightning accidentally set off all the explosives at once, causing a massive detonation that vaporized the warehouse and caused a huge fireball. Sam was right in the middle of all this, yet he survived unscathed. And Sam isn't just tough, he's also relentless. Even when stabbed, shot, and filled with arrows, he keeps on fighting until his opponent is dead. But Sam isn't just strong and skilled, he's also a very intelligent fighter who analyzes his opponents so as to most effectively exploit their weaknesses. For example, when fighting Wolverine, the samurai adjusts his style so as to go for stabs that slip between Wolverine's adamantium bones. In this instance, he was even able to stab Wolverine with such precision that his sword slipped between the bones and cut his heart in half. In terms of experience, Sam has been training and fighting for most of his life, and as such has several decades worth of combat experience. And to top it all off, Sam's sheer willpower is actually pretty insane. A small detail that I didn't mention about his black blade was that it tries to possess people. Even Wolverine succumbed to its mind control, but not Sam. Even the psychic Karma, whose whole shtick is that she can possess people, could not control Sam. And if all that wasn't crazy enough, Sam has one more pretty significant trick up his sleeve. You see, Sam is a mutant, and because of this he has a mutant superpower. His power grants him the ability to form tachyon energy fields around any weapon he is holding. Doing this grants the weapon the ability to cut through pretty much anything, be it stone, steel, or even freaking ghosts. He can even apply this power to his thrown weapons, such as his knives and shurikens, and they too will cut through anything they hit. In addition, applying this to his sword causes it to leave a trail of energy when he swings the blade, and if a foe is hit with this wave of energy, they will suffer an effect similar to electrocution. With all these crazy powers at his disposal, it should come as no surprise that he has defeated quite the number of foes. He has bested countless ninjas, samurai, mutants, and aliens in his time. He took down Spider-Man in a matter of seconds, and he was more than a match for Black Widow. He took down the team of heroes called the New Mutants all on his own, he one-shot the Beast, bested Spider-Woman in combat, and he took down Baymax, a shape-shifting robot that was programmed with every well-known martial art. And one time, an evil organization sent a squadron of elite warriors to ambush Sam. These warriors had studied Sam extensively and specifically trained to counter his fighting style. Despite having all those advantages, Sam slaughtered them all. But for all his impressiveness, Sam has his fair share of weaknesses. He can be overwhelmed when facing multiple superhuman opponents, he lost a one-on-one match with Elektra, and he has lost countless duels with Wolverine. Furthermore, Sam is almost exclusively a melee fighter, and foes with longer range can and have exploited that. Sam's armor may be resistant to bullets, but that doesn't make it bulletproof. Unloading enough shots at him or just firing a high enough caliber round will penetrate it. In addition, his dedication to being honorable has, on more than one occasion, led to him making some pretty foolhardy choices in order to give his foe a fair fight. And while Sam's mutant power lets him cut through most things, it doesn't let him cut through things like adamantium. But even so, in a world filled with superheroes, mutants, and gods, the Silver Samurai still manages to be badass with little more than a sword. And that's just about everything I know about these characters. Before I get to my prediction, here are all the similarities that justify this match. Both were born into clans that they would later rule. Both are trained in the arts of stealth, martial arts, and sword fighting. Both have bounced along the moral spectrum ranging from villains to anti-heroes. Both utilize old school weapons and armor as well as high-tech gear. Both have fought aliens, mutants, ninjas, and samurai. Both have had bizarre iterations of themselves that will not be used for this death battle. Both are, in one way or another, mutants. Both have a sense of honor. Both utilize elemental attacks as well as teleportation. Both have superhuman attributes. And both have mind-boggling quantities of willpower. That's it for similarities. Now for my prediction. I think the winner of this death battle will be Silver Samurai. This was a far closer match than I initially expected. Sam's ability to cut through anything, combined with his teleportation, seemed like they would make this a stomp, but as I learned more and more about the Shredder, I realized that he could actually hold his own. Not only does Shredder have his own means of teleportation, but he also has ridiculous physical strength, elemental powers, and a super transformation. So this is definitely not going to be an easy fight for Sam. Let's look at the base stats. Starting with the primary attributes, we see that Shredder absolutely takes the edge in strength. Sam may be as strong as more than 3 men, but Shredder is as strong as 50 men. Factoring in his super transformation, and Shredder could be as strong as 100 men. So Shredder takes this one. But moving on to speed, we see that Sam has the edge here. The most that could be said for Shredder is that he has peak human speed. The fastest that a professional athlete can move their arm is about 100 miles per hour. If we assume that his super transformation doubles his speed, he could at most move his arm about 200 miles per hour. That's nice and all, but Sam can move his arm fast enough to intercept bullets moving over 1,000 miles per hour, making him at least 5 times faster than Shredder. Moving on to durability, this is actually very definitively in Sam's favor. Shredder could survive a small explosion, and Super Shredder is a bit more durable than that, but Sam could survive a warehouse full of explosives detonating in his face. That is just leagues beyond anything Shredder has survived. In terms of firepower, they are actually dead even. Their arsenals are almost identical. Now, we see here that Sam comes out ahead in the primary categories, but it's also important to look at the secondary categories, because enough of an advantage there can overwhelm a primary advantage. In terms of skill, Sam most definitely has the edge. While Shredder is certainly very skilled in ninjutsu, Sam is skilled in all Oriental martial arts, including ninjutsu. As for stamina, Shredder definitely has the edge. Fighting 5,000 soldiers is just leagues more impressive than any stamina feats Sam has. In terms of intelligence, they're pretty much even. Both are tactical fighters who actively analyze their foes. In terms of versatility, they are once again quite even. Their arsenals and skill sets are pretty much identical, so how versatile they are is going to be similar as well. And lastly, when it comes to mobility, they are both capable of short-range teleportation, so once again, they are pretty much even. So in summary, Shredder has the edge in strength and stamina, whereas Sam has the edge in speed, durability, and skill. So I could make the argument right here that Sam should win because he has more advantages, and that would be a valid argument, but I'd like to go a bit further. You see, both combatants have the ability to kill the other one with a single strike. Sam can do this thanks to his mutant power, and Shredder can do this thanks to his grotesque quantity of superhuman strength. I mean, if Shredder can slice through an alien mech suit like butter, then I'm sure he can do the same to Sam. So, since this battle can be ended in a single strike, deciding a winner basically boils down to figuring out who can get that strike first. The way I see it, there are 3 ways this battle can go down. The first of these is direct confrontation. They run at each other and clash swords. This route is inevitably going to end in Sam's favor because none of Shredder's weapons can stand up to Sam's mutant power. If he tries to go toe-to-toe with Sam in a clash of swords, Sam's weapon is going to slice right through both Shredder's weapon and Shredder himself in the same swing. The second option for how this goes down is that they have a speed and agility oriented fight in which they both play it safe and go for quick stabs when they can while trying to avoid getting hit or having any direct confrontations. This also wouldn't work well for Shredder because Sam is 5 times faster than him. The third and final way that I could see this going down is a stealth fight. Both fighters incorporate stealth into their fighting styles, and since both can teleport, either one could enter stealth at any time. And the winner of a stealth fight is the one who's better at sneaking up on people. And ironically enough, Sam wins this as well. Both fighters have been trained in ninjutsu, but Sam's stealth feats are just way more impressive. Sneaking up on the likes of Spider-Man is legit one of the most impressive stealth feats a character can have. If Sam could sneak up on someone with omniscient awareness of their surroundings, then there's no doubt that he could sneak up on Shredder. As it stands, with his superior speed, skill, stealth, and mutant powers, I'm about 70% certain that Silver Samurai is going to win this death battle. As for the ending pun, I'm thinking something like, Shredder just didn't cut it. Or maybe, looks like Shredder got the silver medal in this fight. As a whole, this was a rather boring fight to research. I was never all that into TMNT or comic books in general, so this wasn't really that interesting for me. That said, if you enjoy TMNT, then I highly recommend the IDW comics. Those are easily the best in terms of plot and character development, and it also is the best version of the Shredder if you're interested in that. That's just about all I have to say on this topic, so I think I'll go ahead and sign off. Like if you enjoyed the video, comment if you got something to say, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, have a fantastic day.